Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, folks. Hey, welcome to another episode of the Marketing Your Practice podcast, the podcast where I help chiropractors with the marketing and the mindset so they can increase their income, their impact, and their enjoyment in practice also. Hey, in today's episode, I want to talk all about beliefs, and I want to share with you why beliefs are so damn important. And I want to share with you two things that you can do to help you believe new things. Beliefs are at the very foundation that have an impact on the quality of the life that we have. They have an impact on the practice, how much money we make, how much enjoyment we have. They have an impact on our relationships. In fact, beliefs, I believe, sit at the very foundation of everything we do in our life. It was Socrates who said that the unexamined life is not worth living. And I think when it comes to examining our life, then starting with our beliefs is a good spot to start. Now, throughout this episode, you might hear me interchangeably use the word beliefs and thoughts and stories. They're all the same thing, okay? So if I bounce in between those, know that I'm referring to exactly the same thing. So beliefs, stories, thoughts. So why is it that beliefs are so damn powerful? Everything that exists right now started first as a thought inside somebody's mind. So whether it be the car, perhaps that you're driving in right now listening to this, the phone, the device that you're listening into, whether it be the financial, the political, the social environment that we live in, these began first as thoughts in somebody's mind, a belief, something they thought about again and again. Everything that is in the material world, the human-made material world, once began in the immaterial, in the actual thought realm. And so everything that you do experience in your life began first as a thought. Now, beliefs drive actions. So there is an obsession in this modern world of ours to find out the what do I need to do. I want the hacks that lead to a bigger practice, an easier life, a great relationship, six-pack abs, you name it. We want to know the what to do. And in fact, companies have made millions and billions of dollars by tapping into this, what do I need to do? But what many of us are missing, and the reason, because I say this all the time, when I'm with coaching clients, whether it's in group and community influencer, or whether it's one-on-one, I had a new client start with me last week, lovely young guy. And I asked him, what are some things that you can do to grow your practice? And he listed this incredibly long laundry list of things that he could do. I'm like, well, what do you need me? You know what you need to do. These are all great strategies. The question comes down to, why am I not doing these things? And that has something to do with the thoughts or the stories that you're telling yourself. This is in part what I want you to examine inside of this episode. So here's an example. If you ask a non-smoker why they don't smoke, or perhaps even a better question to ask them is it difficult for you to not smoke? And most of them will go, well, no, it's not difficult at all. And then you ask them why, they will share with you a whole bunch of their beliefs. Here's an important point here too. Just because it's true doesn't mean beliefs don't have to be true and or false. In fact, that's an irrelevant thing. What we really want to ask is the belief working for us? The older I get, the more time in contemplation that I have, the less I realize, and the bigger the gap there is between what's possibly true and not true, that there's all these areas of grayness inside there. So somebody who is a non-smoker, they see themselves as a non-smoker. The thoughts they have are in around how harmful it is to them. The thoughts they have is in around how that it smells terrible. The thoughts are in around the impact it will have on all areas of their life. Now, if you're a smoker, these thoughts are different. You know, they smell that cigarette smoke. They love the smell of it. They love the feeling it gives to them. Now, while they might be aware of some of the health challenges, the conversation that's going on inside of their mind is probably really minimizing those. And so their thoughts that they have and the thoughts that you and I have in around cigarette smoking is what drive our actions. Okay, huge, huge impact. My mother was a smoker for many years until she got pregnant with us kids, and she would stop smoking all the way throughout the pregnancy. And once we were born, she'd start smoking again, okay? Because she had a thought, a story, a belief that it was bad for us as kids when she was pregnant for her to smoke, but apparently it was okay for her to smoke when we were babies on the outside. Okay, crazy thoughts that don't often make sense. So how do you go about identifying your beliefs, the thoughts and stories? So the first thing is this. It can be very, very challenging because the beliefs and stories that we have going on are much like the oxygen that we breathe. They become so integrated into our life that the most important and impactful beliefs are very, very difficult for us to identify. In the same way that the fish is not aware of the water that it's swimming in, most of us are not aware of the beliefs that we have. And so we need to cultivate the idea of being the watcher of our life. And it can be a pretty brutal process for the first 60 to 90 days for us to start to identify these things, because then often we start to beat ourselves up because we see that many of the challenges that we have in our life have often been very much self-induced because of crazy thought processes. But here's a couple of questions that might, in essence, the beliefs that you have are most evident in the results that you have. And so I could tell a lot by your beliefs by looking at your bank balance, looking at your relationships, looking at your practice. Now, these are quite confronting things for people to hear and be told, but just sit and bear with me for a moment there too. But here's some questions that might help to identify some of the beliefs, because I want to bring this back in particular in around your practice as well. Let's get kind of focused here. What do you believe about your ability to serve more patients? Like your ability to double your practice in the next 12 months or less, 60 days, 90 days. Now, when I ask you that question, what comes up inside your mind? For some of you, it's just a flat out hell yes. Now, if it is a hell yes, I would question that, because if you really truly believed it, it would probably be happening right now. I'll show you why in a moment. What do you believe about your ability to earn more money? What are the stories and beliefs that you have in around money? Is money the root of all evil? Is more money fantastic because you can help more people? I had an interesting experience on the golf course recently. I love the conversations that I have on the golf course. I learn a lot from them. I get to talk to strangers each and every week. And I was chatting with a lovely guy, and he asked me where I lived. And I live in a very affluent area, lovely seaside suburb there too. And like many places over the last 5 or 6 years, property prices have gone through the roof. He said, "Where do you live?" I said, "I live in Bowen Heads." And he goes, "Wow, you must be a millionaire." Now, it was very interesting because when he said that to me, every cell in my body wanted to minimize. I wanted to change the topic over. I didn't want to talk about it. It was very awkward for me. And I thought about that a lot afterwards. Why did I feel like I needed to minimize my financial status? Why was that important? And later on, again, he came back. We were talking about different things. He was admiring a little golf buggy that I have. I have a little remote control golf buggy. It's great. I love it. And again, we were talking about that. He said, "I feel like I want to get one of these." How much was it? I said, "Oh, they're like not that expensive at all. They're $2,000. He goes, "I told you you were a millionaire." And again, I wanted to deflect as well. And I thought, why can I not answer that question with the same ease that if he had have said to me, "I see that you football team that you support is Richmond." Oh, yeah. Now, again, it's not like I was bringing it up. And if the truth be known, this, as we talked on, if I were to compare bank balances with this gentleman, my guess is his bank balance would be significantly higher than mine. He was being playful, of course, but I watched how I interacted with that. I've spent a bit of time over the last 2 weeks diving a bit deeper around my beliefs and my thoughts and the stories that I have with regards to money. So again, that question, what do you believe about your ability to earn more money? What do you believe about your ability to implement new things? What comes up for you when I ask that question? Are you good at learning new things? Do you take on new things easily? How do you deal with things when they're difficult as well? What about this question? The reason I don't have my dream practice is, and fill in the blanks. The way that you answer that question is going to tell me what your beliefs are, what your thoughts are, what your stories. Now, beliefs and thoughts and stories are all okay unless you don't like the result that they're giving you. Okay, so if the reason that you don't have your dream practice is maybe you're saying that I don't have time, I'm focused on looking after my family, that chiropractic is too difficult, I can't market my practice the way I want to. Now again, if we go back and we look at all of those thoughts and or beliefs, the question I want to ask you is, do you want to hold on to them? Is it possible that you can think about this in a different way? Could you change your beliefs over to, I have all the time I need to grow my practice, that growing a chiropractic practice is easy because I have something that is so desperately needed. Again, these are just beliefs, and we'll talk about how we might be able to implement these beliefs as well. So, how do we go about believing new things? That's what I want to talk about. But before I do that, to bring it back to growing your practice, there are two key foundational principles that I want to share with you, and they are this. The results that you have in your practice right now basically come from what you currently believe about your capacity to deliver value as a chiropractor. That's it. Okay, I'll say that again. The results that you have in your practice come from what you currently believe about your capacity to deliver value as a chiropractor. That would be something that I would do some real self-examination in around. I know we're getting deep inside of here, but this is the important work, gang, that we need to do if we want to grow and evolve as human beings. So maybe you're open to the idea of believing new things. How do I go about believing new things? I want to share just a couple of strategies with you today. There are lots, but I want to share two with you. The most important one of all of them is you have to be open to the possibility, first of all, that it's a belief that's causing the problem. Okay, so we have to believe that beliefs are changeable, interchangeable, that I can believe new things, and instead of blaming the circumstance in your life on something external, the reason my chiropractic practice won't grow is because people don't like chiropractic. My registration board won't let me market it. Marketing is all pushy and sleazy. We have to, first of all, be open to the possibility, at least, that maybe I'm part of the problem, and maybe part of the problem for me is the beliefs. Now, I'm going to talk about self-compassion later on, because often what happens when I share this with people is they really start to beat themselves up. I talked about that before. They start to see how their beliefs around it being difficult, not possible, and they look at all the misery they've caused over their life that began first with a belief. Okay, now, this is important. Go back to it again there too. I'm not trying to get all woo-woo here with you. Okay, we understand this whole branch of psychology called transactional analysis that really goes through behaviors and why we do what we do, and the deep interrelated role that our beliefs have into it. So it begins with this, okay? As I mentioned before, we have to be open to the possibility that believing new things is what will get me the solution that I want. Now, let me share a couple of beliefs with you that might be helpful if you wanted to grow your practice. You might want to believe that the world longs for what you have to offer, okay? You might want to believe that your community needs you more than you need them. You might want to believe that there's nothing that you truly want that you cannot have. You might want to believe that hard work feels amazing. You might want to believe that worry serves no purpose. You might want to believe that growing a practice comes easily to you. You might want to believe that money comes easy to you. You might want to believe that there's plenty of time for you to do the important things. There are a few beliefs. Now, when we come to believing new things, particularly if it's very different, if we've always seen ourselves as somebody who's busy and there's no time, if we've always seen ourselves as that money is difficult to come by and I can never seem to hold on to it, and then all of a sudden wanting to believe this new thing that money comes easily, then some of us, that can be difficult. Okay, so just jumping from two very different kind of ends of the spectrum from money is difficult and I can't seem to hold on to it, to all of a sudden money is easy, can take a few steps. And so in those situations, I like to share a bridging statement. And a bridging statement can help us on the journey to believing new things. And instead of just saying to ourselves, money is easy, when we've got a lot of evidence in the past that maybe it's not, we can say something like, I'm learning that money can come easily to me, or I'm becoming a person who money comes easily to, or I'm becoming a person who can grow a chiropractic practice effortlessly, or I'm open to believing that I can serve more people and still deliver great service, or maybe I'm open to that I can serve more people and deliver a better service. And considering the possibility that maybe growing a chiropractic practice doesn't have to be difficult. Okay, there's lots of bridging statements in there, but those bridging statements, I'm learning that, I'm becoming a person who, I'm open to believing that, or I'm considering. These are things that we can put in front of our new belief just to help to kind of make it a little bit more palatable for us. So the first thing in terms of when we want to believe new things is, first of all, being open to the possibility that you can change your beliefs. Okay. The second thing I want to talk about is the importance of nurturing self-confidence. And I want to share with you the role that self-confidence plays in us believing new things. Okay, now I want to differentiate self-confidence from confidence. Okay, confidence, we have confidence when we have evidence in the past that we've done something. You know, I've spoken about this in the podcast a little bit beforehand, but I am confident that I can make a coffee because I've done it beforehand. You know, I'm confident that I can lift this weight because I've done it beforehand. Now, when we want to do new things that we've never done before, we often don't have confidence to draw upon because we haven't done it before. Okay, if you knew that you could do it, then you'd probably already be doing it. So we need to instead develop this thing called self-confidence. And self-confidence has a future focus. So instead of looking to the past for evidence, we have to look to the future. Sometimes this can get a little woo-woo when I like to have conversations with my future self. Imagine that I've already done it. What did I think and what did I believe in order for me to be able to pull this off? But one of the ingredients of self-confidence is doing what you say you will do. Okay, and this, if you are, for instance, you've had the belief that there's plenty of time. Okay, so that's the belief that I have, and these are the actions that I'm going to take in order to live a life where there's plenty of time. You must have follow through. Okay, establishing that you are a person committed to your word, that you do what you say you will do, is something that builds a tremendous amount of self-confidence. Now, I like to have and reinforce this in the exercise that I do. I reinforce this in the daily planning that I have. I sit down on a Monday morning, I plan out my week, and I stick to it because I want to be a person who does what they say they're going to do. Okay, now this will be important because when I'm working with somebody, whether it be to grow their practice or grow their life, we think about what are the things that they need to believe. We think about what are the actions that they need to take. We plan out these actions, and in planning out these actions, there's going to be a whole bunch of drama that comes up. You're going to not want to do it. Okay, you're going to fail in the process. There's going to be failure, rejection, and sometimes there's even going to be humiliation. Okay, so but you need to do what you say you're going to do. This leads me to the second point. You need to be prepared to experience all of the emotions. When you're believing new things, there's going to be resistance. Okay, there's going to be pushback. There's going to be anxiety, and you need to be prepared to feel these things and move on anyway. Living a bigger life is not about suppressing the negative emotions. It's not about pushing the difficult emotions to the side. It's about feeling them and moving forwards anyway. One of the gifts that I love to give my clients is we spend some time really diving deep into the emotions they don't want to experience, whether it is humiliation, shame, fear. We really want to get clear about what is it? What does it feel like? Where do you feel it? And then when we can write all this down and then I can read it back to them, you go, okay, that's it. That's all it is. It doesn't kill you. Okay, you might feel terrible. You might have an ache in the tummy. You know, the emotion that is the biggest barrier for me is this sense of shame where I tell myself I'm not a good person. And if I go deep enough into that, I can actually get myself, it begins with nausea, but if I go deep enough into it, I can literally throw up. You know, if I'm beating myself up that much, that's what it will get to. But I know I can work my way through that. And I know that all that stands between me and the life that I want to live, the impact that I want to have, is me being able to deal with all these emotions. So self-confidence, again, first, is doing what you say you're going to do. Second, it's being prepared to experience all the emotions. And then third, super important here, is self-compassion. What you think about yourself is what generates or depletes self-confidence, okay? A self-confident person is going to think that they're good, capable, and worthy, okay? They're going to think that they're strong and competent. Now, the cool thing about beliefs, again, they're all beliefs that I'm talking about there too, is that you don't have to have evidence of them just yet, okay? Maybe you might go, in the past I wasn't these things, but that's fine. We can start to think these things now, okay? I'm open to the idea that I'm a good, competent, worthy person, but we have to be compassionate. One of the drives towards behavior change, a lot of work has been done here, particularly in the world of addiction, that when somebody has a relapse and finds themselves using a substance again, their chance of kind of really falling back down into that spiral depends on whether they have self-compassion or not. If they're self-compassionate, their likelihood to get back to where they want to is much higher than if they were to beat themselves up. Self-compassion is an essential ingredient of nurturing self-confidence. Let me bring this all together for you, okay? Beliefs, thoughts, stories are foundational to the life that you're living right now. Examining them, the unexamined life is not worth living. Therefore, if you're going to begin with examining something, start with the very foundation. Start with what your beliefs and thoughts are around your worthiness as a human being, particularly with regards to practice. The beliefs that you have, the results in your practice come from what you currently believe about your capacity to deliver value as a chiropractor. Is your adjustment worth $50, $60, $70? Is this something that's important for people in your community to receive? How long should they receive it for? Okay, who should they be telling? These are all beliefs that will drive your practice as well. If you want to identify your current beliefs, look at your life. Okay, that tells me what your beliefs are. When you're wanting to believe new things, it starts first of all with being open to the possibility that it is a belief that is causing the problem. Then when you're wanting to integrate these new beliefs, work out what they are, and maybe you need to put those bridging statements in there. I'm learning that. I'm becoming a person who, I'm open to believing that, or I'm considering. Then nurture self-confidence, okay? Self-confidence is made up of three independent kind of pillars there. It's different from confidence. We need to go to self-confidence when we're wanting to do things that we've never done before, okay? It begins with a commitment of doing what you say you're going to do, okay? It's being prepared to experience all of the emotions and knowing that they're just an emotion. And if you can experience it, you can cope with it, okay? And then the third there is self-compassion, because there will be failure and difficulty and rejection, and you will fall off the wagon, so to speak, along the way. And when that happens, it's important that we nurture self-confidence, because what you think of yourself will either generate or deplete self-confidence. Folks, believing new things is one of the most important skill sets that you can develop as a human being if you want to grow and expand, if you want to increase your impact, your income, and your enjoyment in life. That's all from me today, okay? Thanks for all that you do. Keep saving lives. I'll see you back here next week. Take care. If you've enjoyed listening to this podcast, you have to come and check out my Community Influencer Program. It's my monthly coaching program where we take all this material and I'll work with you to help you apply it, implement it, and systemize it. The Community Influencer Group Coaching Program is designed to help you increase your practice income, impact, and enjoyment. Join me over at anguspyke.com/join. That's anguspyke.com/join. I'd love to see you there.